Today marks 7 years since Mesut Ozil joined Arsenal. In this video I look back on his career at the club and ask, has it been a success? Hello, I'm Richard and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. So in this video I just really wanted to look back on the first 7 years of Mesut Ozil's Arsenal career, because of course it was on this day in 2013 that he joined the club, and just really look at whether or not his time at Arsenal has been a success or not. Before I get into all that, I just want to make sure that you're subscribing to the channel. I'm doing a lot of great stuff at the moment, featuring former players, featuring great matches, featuring current stuff that's going on, transfers and everything else. And also as well, I've got a good live show coming up tomorrow evening, really excited about this. I've got a special guest joining me, Tom Watt, of course, a former EastEnders actor. He's an author as well of a few Arsenal books, massive big Arsenal fan for a number of years, used to obviously work at the club as well. So I'm really excited to speak to him tomorrow night. So that's at 7 o'clock. So please click on the subscribe button to set you up to date with what's going on the channel. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well. That would be much appreciated. So Mesut Ozil, of course, on this day, the 2nd of September 2013, he joined the club from Real Madrid for a club record fee of 50 million euros. And it was a big statement, I felt, from the club at that time. You know, since we moved to the Emirates, we hadn't really been able to compete in the transfer market. We'd had to sell a lot of our best players. And this now was a statement as if to say we were back. We could now compete for these top players in the transfer market and sign some big names. Now, it was probably the biggest player that we'd signed, probably since Dennis Bergkamp, you know, nearly 20 years previously, because all the other great players that we bought in the meantime probably wasn't actually world-class players at the time we signed them. Well, they all wasn't big names in world football, and they became that afterwards, didn't they? But I would say Mesut Ozil was at that time, of course, the greatest playmaker in Europe. It was a big signing for the club, a big statement, and it was the start of a new era for the club, I feel. But Mesut Ozil himself, he was born on the 15th of October 1988. He started off at his local club Schalke, which he joined in 2005, came through their system into the first team, and he did stay in the first team for a season and a half. He made 39 appearances, scored just one goal for them. He fell out of them at the sort of January 2008 over a new contract, so he felt as though he was worth more money, and he ended up signing for Werder Bremen for 5 million euros. Now, he was at Werder Bremen for 2.5 seasons, and that was when he really started to develop into the playmaker that he would become. He made 108 appearances for Werder Bremen, scored 17 goals, but actually also had 32 assists in those 2.5 years as well. He really started to get noticed on the world stage. He made his debut for the German national side and played in the 2010 World Cup. Now, it was during that World Cup that he really came to the attention of some of the biggest clubs in Europe, including Arsenal, actually, who were sniffing around him in 2010. But in the end, it was Real Madrid where he went for 15 million euros just after the 2010 World Cup had finished. And it was at his time in Madrid that he really developed into, I'd say, probably one of the greatest playmakers in European football. In his 3 seasons in Spain, he made 159 appearances, scored 27 goals, but actually had over 80 assists. And that was where that was what he became noted for. Just fantastic vision and passing ability in the final third of the pitch. Now, he did win a La Liga title in 2012 in Madrid, and he also won the Copa del Rey the year before in 2011. So he won a couple of trophies, and I say developed into probably the greatest playmaker in Europe. So when we managed to buy him in, I say, September 2013, it was a massive signing at the time. I was really excited about it actually as well. Really looking forward to seeing him play for the club. And if you remember his first game, his debut, up at Sunderland, a couple of weeks after he signed, because there'd been an international break, he made an assist, didn't he, for Olivier Giroud within about 10 minutes in a game that we won 3-1. Now, he had a massive impact actually in that first season. If you remember, we hadn't won a trophy for 9 seasons, and we would end that drought that season by winning the FA Cup at Wembley against Hull City, coming back from 2-0 down in the final. Now, Mesut Ozil played a big part in the run to the final, scored in the quarter-finals against Everton, if you remember, an important goal he got there. And he was instrumental in the season when we actually led the Premier League table for a large chunk of that season as well. And unfortunately we did fall away in the end and finish 4th, but we did, I say, win the FA Cup, our first trophy for 9 years. Now, Mesut Ozil's presence in the team actually enabled Aaron Ramsey to really come to the fore. Up until then, Aaron Ramsey had been a little bit inconsistent, wasn't scoring enough goals, but suddenly he had that freedom to get forward more, get on the end of things, and he did seem to link up well with Ozil as well. And I say Aaron Ramsey scored 16 goals that season, which was his best goal scoring season up to that point, of course including the winning goal in the cup final. Now Mesut Ozil finished his first season, 42 appearances he made, scored 7 goals and had 13 assists. So it was definitely a successful season for the club. He'd won us a trophy, and I don't think any of us could have really asked for a lot more. His second season was a little bit more disappointing. He'd gone to the 2014 World Cup with Germany, of course, which they won. So he was a bit late coming back to start the season, so he missed a few games at the start, and then he seemed to suffer from a few niggling injuries here and there. He missed quite a few games. In the end, he only played 32 times that season, scored 5 goals, had 9 assists. So his numbers were a bit worse really than the season before. But again, he did help us win the FA Cup for the second year in a row. He played in the final against Aston Villa, which we won 4-0. So in his first 2 seasons, we'd won 2 trophies, when we hadn't won any at all in the previous 8 seasons before he came. So he'd obviously brought success to the club. But it was in the 2015-2016 season that he really hit the heights, and he really justified the transfer fee and all the hype around him really. He was absolutely brilliant that season. He hardly missed a game. He played pretty much every match throughout the season. He played 45 appearances across all competitions, scored 8 goals, which was his best goal scoring season up until that point for us. But it was the 20 assists that really stood out, which was equal to the Premier League record set by Thierry Henry. He was just brilliant that season. He won the Arsenal Player of the Year, and it was, to me, that was one of the best individual seasons that any Arsenal player had for a few years, actually for a number of years. He was just absolutely brilliant. It was a shame in the end that the team didn't quite match his brilliance really. We did finish second in the league, of course, if you remember, when Leicester won it, but we had a great chance to win the title that year and we didn't quite make it, did we? And we suffered in the cups as well. Unfortunately, since then, Mesut Ozil his form steadily declined, hasn't it? The 2016-2017 season, it was okay. He didn't quite reach the heights though, did he? He made 44 appearances, so again he played most games. His goal tally increased actually, 12 goals he scored, which is actually the most goals he'd ever scored in a season in his whole career, which included his first Arsenal hat-trick against Ludogorets in the Champions League. And he did get 13 assists as well, so his actual goal output, his goal involvement in that season wasn't far behind the season before. And of course we did win the FA Cup again, so his third trophy with the club in his first 4 seasons. So it wasn't an unsuccessful season, he hadn't quite reached the heights of the season before, which was very difficult to do, having had such a brilliant season. But then since then really it's rapidly gone downhill, hasn't it? The 2017-2018 season, of course, Arsene Wenger's last season at the club was a difficult season for the club. It was a difficult season for Mesut Ozil as well. He did suffer again a few injuries, missed a lot of matches, didn't quite get any rhythm to his play. He played 35 games that season, scored 5 goals, but he did have 13 assists again, so he was still creating goals for other people. Bearing in mind, of course, we still had players like Olivier Giroud then, Alexis Sanchez was still there, Theo Walcott, these people that he worked well with and created goals for. But again, his form that season, along with the team, really was inconsistent. And then, of course, under Unai Emery, the new system of play, the new style didn't really suit Mesut Ozil, did it? And he was soon left out of the team. Funnily enough, he'd had actually a reasonably good start under Unai Emery, didn't he? He scored against Newcastle, didn't he, quite early in the season, a winning goal there. And then there's that game against Leicester, if you remember, when he was just probably his best individual game. He got a great goal in the first half, and then his role in the 2 goals we scored in the second half to win the game 3-1 were quite outstanding. I mean, probably 2 of the best goals I've ever seen him score at the Emirates. So he was brilliant then, but he soon got left out of the team. And the new system that Emery wanted to play, maybe wanted him to work harder, I think it was, and he couldn't get a regular place. He did come back towards the end of the season, played a few more games, but by now the criticism from the crowd seemed to be building as well. He was getting called lazy, and of course, if you remember, this was just after he'd signed his new contract, £350,000 a week, which probably didn't help him in terms of getting the crowd on his side. It just seemed to have been brought up the whole time. Then of course we moved into the start of last season, the 2019-2020 season. Again, Unai Emery wasn't really picking him very often, and again he didn't seem to fit in with the system, did he? Then of course Arteta took over in December, and actually started playing Mesut Ozil on a regular basis. You could see a difference in Ozil's performances. Actually, he started to play a lot better. He started to produce more consistent performances. He got his first goal of the season, of course, if you remember, against Newcastle. He added a couple of assists as well, and he was looking as though he was going to revive his Arsenal career. But then, of course, we had the big lockdown for the COVID-19 situation. There was all the other stuff went on behind the scenes about the players having to take a pay cut, Mesut Ozil refusing to, and it resulted in the fact that we came back after lockdown and he didn't play again for the rest of the season. So what happens now, I suppose, is where we are. 7 years after he joined the club, he's got a year left on his contract, and what happens now? For me personally, I do feel his career at Arsenal has been a success. He's helped us win 3 FA Cups. Of course, he didn't play a part in this FA Cup this year, but he certainly played a big part in the previous 3. He helped end our trophy drought. I think he's been a fantastic player for most of his Arsenal career. It's just maybe gone downhill over the last couple of years, hasn't it? And now it's probably at a point of no return. I mean, he keeps saying he wants to stay at the club. He keeps saying he's not going to leave. And what do? We've just sorted out the situation with Henrik Mkhitaryan, who was in a similar situation. We basically paid off his contract and got rid of him. Are we going to do the same with Mesut Ozil? I mean, I think personally it's a sad way for him to finish his career at Arsenal. Whatever happens this season, whether he plays much or not, it's been a sad way to end, because he's taken all the criticism really for the whole team when the team haven't performed, and he's dominated all the stories, hasn't he? Whatever's happened at Arsenal, it's always been about Mesut Ozil. I mean, Mesut Ozil didn't play in the last 10-15 games of the season since lockdown, and pretty much every single press conference Mikel Arteta was asked about him. So he's dominated the news at Arsenal probably for the wrong reasons over the last couple of years, which is a shame, because I still think he's a quality player. I still think he's actually got quite a lot to offer us if the system's right around him. I'm not sure if he would work in the way Arteta has been playing, the system he's been playing, probably not. The number 10 role that he's best in doesn't really get used a lot now, does it? Football's kind of changed a little bit now, and when you look at the success that Liverpool have had, the system that they play, they don't really play a player in that sort of a role. So even Man City don't either, which is obviously where Arteta's learned a lot of his coaching from. So I think the future's very uncertain. He's nearly 32 years old, Mesut Ozil. He hasn't got a lot of time left in his career, has he? Does he just want to hang around at Arsenal, not play, or does he want to maybe go somewhere and maybe get another couple of years playing in him before he has to retire anyway? It's difficult, and I say I'm quite sad about it all, actually, because Mesut Ozil was a fantastic player for us when he joined. He was a fantastic player for his first 3 or 4 seasons, and I still believe he's a great player now, and I still believe in the right system with the right players around him he could still be a really effective player. But it's looking as though Mikel Arteta is building his team in a different direction, and I'm not sure where Mesut Ozil is going to fit in now. I think it's best probably for the club if we get rid of him, somehow find a way of doing it. It's probably best for him as well, if we're honest. I say he needs to maybe finish his career playing football. He doesn't want to finish his career being known as a player who refused to leave Arsenal, couldn't get a game, and sitting on a £350,000 a week contract. I don't think that's the right way he should leave the club, really, because that wouldn't be a fair reflection on his 7 years at the club overall, I don't feel. So that's kind of a little run back on Mesut Ozil's career, his time at Arsenal. I would say it's been a success, yes, I think it has been. Certainly in the trophies that he's helped us win, and in a lot of his performances, certainly in the first half of his time there. And I say I do feel sad, and it's a shame that it seems to be ending in the way that it is. But we'll see what happens. You know, he might well play a part this coming season. Who knows? He might well play a big part in the success of the team. We don't know yet, do we? It seems unlikely at this moment in time, let's be honest, but you don't know. We don't know yet, do we, what's going to happen. So we'll see. But I say, for me, I like the guy. I think he's a nice guy. He does a lot of work for charity, gives a lot of money away to good causes around the world. And I think maybe he's not been given the credit he deserves for what he's done at Arsenal either. But let me know what you think. I no doubt expect a lot of people will disagree with me on this. I say the amount of stick he's taken really suggests that. But I just really want to give him a little bit of support and just try to see if people can maybe appreciate what he has brought to the club over the last 7 years, and maybe hopefully another year maybe if he can get himself back in the team and stuff like that. But we'll see. So that's that for now. So let me know what you think about the whole Mesut Ozil career at Arsenal, and I say stay tuned to the channel for my live show tomorrow at 7 o'clock, which is going to be really, really exciting, I'm sure. So that's that for now. Hope you enjoy it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Thanks for the support I'm getting for the channel over the last few weeks. It's been great, and hopefully it can continue. And I say, if you enjoy it, please subscribe. Please tell everybody that you know to subscribe as well to help me grow it. And I'll keep producing some hopefully good videos that you like watching. So that's it for now then. Hope you enjoyed that. And in the meantime, as always, come on you Gunners!